I'm the coordinator over at Phoenix. I sort of like the collective secretary, if you will.
Okay, so you're the coordinator, and what's the website?
It's cryptophoenix.org.
Okay, and then you're helping us with our storyline, and you're actually an incredible writer. So,
thank you. I appreciate that.
So, what should we call you, Spaz? Should we call you Crypto Phoenix Spaz?
Just Spaz is fine.
Okay. Spaz from Crypto Phoenix, just Spaz. I got it. Okay.
Excellent.
Mel, what do you got, girl?
I got it together. I got the recording on. I had to switch computers, but hey ho. So what do I want to be introduced as?
Yeah. And what are you introducing yourself as, and what is your role with StarShip Story Lore?
I think my role is, creative, like artist, writer, and team leader.
Yeah, you're basically the project manager for the entire story and kind of just organizing everybody's creativity and thoughts, right?
Yeah. I don't know, like what kind of title in life that is. Like, I know there are some things like creative director and stuff like that. So yeah, I would.
Well, what we call it is a project manager.
Mhm.
And how some people define project manager is a little bit different than how we define it. I've been having meetings with project managers for the last 24 hours, and our project managers' goals is to make sure that the vision is not just communicated through our products, and obviously organizing the people and making sure things are on time, but also they need to make sure that the vision is communicated properly in all the right channels. So, for example, if you create a creature, did we forget to add it on the website? Did we forget to add it on the white paper? Did we communicate it through all the proper channels? So you're organizing, you're communicating, and not just with the team, but with the community also.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're basically like a CEO of StarShip Story.
Yeah, I think, it's like, it's important. I think it's important to me to, that it's clear that I'm also creating it, and so I don't really mind how I'm introduced. I'm up for whatever. Yeah, project manager sounds good. And then, we can always tack on creative in however it feels appropriate.
Yeah, definitely. I think that project manager is perfect because we have a lot of projects. So if you look at the project manager's role compared to at the CEO, you're basically just like the CEO of a specific niche in StarShip.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. And we give the creative freedom to you, especially because, obviously I'm not a creative person or a writer or anything special like that. So yeah, that's important too.
Cool. Yeah. Is that, what do you think of that, Spaz?
I think that's awesome. I was kind of in my head considering you like the executive writer, but that's kind of stuffy, I suppose. Project manager is perfect.
That's awesome, because I wanted to say I was thinking of show writing. I was like head writer, but I didn't want it to sound like my ego was running the show. So that's cool.
Yeah. So just to move on to the next thing, the primary goal of our project manager is to define the vision, target audience, and then once they do that, they can create the products or make sure the products translate that and make sure that the social post translated and that it's in the right areas. So my thoughts are, or actually tell me your thoughts. How do we want people, how does this, what's the vision for this story? How do we want people to feel when they listen to it or read it? I used the comparison earlier of like Interstellar. You have the guy, he leaves his daughter, and the main character leaves his daughter, and when he comes back, she's on her deathbed, and you're like, oh my God, you stay on this planet close enough to a black hole, and time travels differently, and your mind just gets blown. That's why I love these kind of movies. I want them to inspire. I want to feel something. But what is your vision and overall plan for this?
Yeah, I love that too. And just like the exploration and the escapism and like you said, like the imagination spark. I would like for people to feel almost like it's a place they can go to be like fully engrossed and immersed. And I personally, like, I love the feeling of, I like when I laugh out loud or I cry or like I have like a strong emotional response to a story that I'm reading or watching. And I don't know if I like this, but I want this for the people that are engaging with our story to like not be able to put it down,
Yeah, and just like, I need more.
Yeah, for me, like that
add
can
more
manifest.
writers.
Yeah, for me, that can manifest as like a Netflix binge, So personally, like I gotta have a little self-discipline, but I love stories that just make me want more and more.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Spaz?
Well, so I was looking at some of those rules of power, and so not only do I want people that kind of emulate that, but I really like, for example, Faye really represents the opposite side of the ledger, and she's not a villain either. Like, so the way I saw it is, there's a Confucius quote, which is that the oak can get blown down, but the sapling never snaps. And she's sort of the exact opposite. She's so headstrong and just like everything blows up in her face. So I want because it's relatable, right? Like I want people on both sides of the ledger, people that are emulating the good qualities, and then people that don't do that. And it's essentially just like a tale of woe, like them, and having a redemption arc for people like that as well, to kind of like inspire hope. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you've been, matters where you're going. And so that's sort of what I'm looking for too.
And
I like
just
that a lot. Like
and just to kind of add on to that a little bit, like I told Melanie, I said, I don't want my character to be Captain America. I want to embrace both. I want my character to embrace both the good and the bad, because what is bad, and how, and what is good. It's all in terms of the situation. Like sometimes a soldier goes to war and has to kill somebody. That's bad for the enemy. It's bad for the enemy's family, but it's it's just all perspective is all. So I don't want to be portrayed as a as some kind of saint or Captain America. Maybe like a mix of Deadpool with with something else, but at least structured and focused, and consistent. And consistent is important. So
yeah, and that's the thing. No one's gonna be one-dimensional. Okay, I'm not gonna write any one-dimensional characters. That being said, people with like in the sea level, we've got ways to work around this so we can have the characters act in ways they normally wouldn't. But obviously, like people that have like a first and last name, they're affiliated with the project, they can't do anything that's like outright dastardly. Like
yeah.
Yeah, they can
So-
they can be gray zone, but they can't be like like anything that would you know how people are. They get all that that really is telling you how he actually is, and so we got to be a little careful. But we do have an arc planned which allows sort of an inversion where we can watch our heroes be a little bit shady.
I love it. So Mel, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. Like I love I think that is what's really going to pull people in, like real characters that are not flawless. I do think it's not only going to like draw people in, but it's going to keep them interested. I think characters are like core of stories, and it's also going to give us a lot of story potential, kind of like what you were saying, Spaz, with like redemption arcs, and just I think that's really like the crux of it.
So let's talk about the purpose of these calls. They're going to be an hour a week, right? We're going to just, am I right about that, Mel? Or
I think so we said so Spaz and I were kind of like talking about, I said like half an hour to an hour that the episodes would be, but then potentially we could have like a call every so often, maybe weekly if that would work, where we do maybe like a 2-hour call, and then we can record a few episodes so we can get like a batch going.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just depends on how long you want the episodes for. I personally like podcasts that are around an hour. So I think anything like over 30 minutes, like so people can listen while they're commuting or just like taking a walk. That's how I envision it.
Okay. But the purpose of this podcast is for us to talk about the ideas of the game or of the story, and then implement those ideas in between each of our calls. Is that correct? Or
yeah, so I think it kind of doubles as like brainstorming, as like kind of seeing where the story is going, as kind of like kind of helping to keep us on like a momentum, like to build a momentum and keep with that. So yeah, that's how I would see it for sure. And also like giving the community another form of. Spaz had a really good idea that was like, as we develop the actual stories, we could have part of the episode where we just like do a reading, so it's like an audio book, so we're not just talking about it, but we're also giving them that in like the story in another form.
I love that. So Spaz, real quick, what is it's cryptophoenix.com, right?
.org.
.org. So cryptophoenix.org. So Spaz is helping us create this story. He's really creative. He's done a lot for us already. Some of the work that you've done is incredible. So I definitely want to thank cryptophoenix.org for sharing Spaz with us. And you are going to be on all the episodes with us, right, Spaz?
Yeah, I can do Sundays.
Awesome. Okay. So, do we want to read any stories today? Do we want to talk about any of that? Actually, first, let me talk about the importance of this story. This story is going to be implemented into our games, and that's games plural, because Kyanite and its NFTs are going to be utilized across multiple games, and that story could potentially end up in comic books, could potentially end up in a multiplayer online game. That story could end up in a TV series. It all depends on how the community treats it, or how the community engages with it. Which brings me to my next point. Melanie, if someone in the community is listening to this podcast, they want to submit an idea, where do they submit that idea to?
I think that what we had talked about before was creating an email for me, or like just like a lore email, and that's where the ideas could go.
Okay, so we will have a lore email set up and in the descriptions of this video, which we'll post on YouTube. Well, this audio call we'll post on YouTube. So you guys can, if you have any great ideas that you want to submit, and Melanie and Spaz can implement those, that would be awesome.
And then we also talked about like doing campaigns, like when we want to name the planets that are in the story, like maybe starting with like submit your names. We can do that, like maybe we create a survey so it's easier, and then like Spaz and I, or maybe like the lore Telegram chat can, like, we can do a short list, and then we do another kind of campaign where the people vote for their favorite name in the short list, and then like the winner who came up with the name, like, I don't know, get something. But that's,
yeah, we could give them an extended pack from the sale or something, or something. But we can give some NFTs. I'm all for that.
Yeah, so that would be more like of a survey. So we can release like those surveys like whenever it's relevant.
Real quick, so we're talking about community engagement. My daughter Natalie, she used to participate in, like, I guess she called it fandom.
Yeah.
Do you guys know anything about that?
I was thinking about this, like fan fiction. It wouldn't necessarily be ideas that they submit to be included, but we could create something somewhere where they can, like, kind of write their own fan fiction.
Yeah, I love that. Like, speaking on that, there's, I'm going to talk on games. There's different types of players who want, they engage for different reasons. And then you have, gamification, where you gamify something that's not, a part of actual gameplay. So, some of those types of people are like socializers. They just want to socialize and engage with people. They're not in it for play to earn. They're not in it for pay to win. They just want to feel a part of something. So if we can think of ways for our community to engage with this story, I think that would be really positive to help adoption. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let's move into the story. What do you think?
What were you going to say, Spaz?
Oh, no, I just think that that's it. Like, there's lots of ways you can provide incentives for people, like, doing submissions. Like, I mean, there's something like simple, like, you were saying, we just give an NFT, but there's some community members that are actually like a part of the story at this point, just because they've been involved for so long. So there's that as well.
Yeah, and I think Tokyo Captain, he wants to be a space pilot. He's the one who saved us from the hack. So he recognized something was fishy going on with the blockchain, and he reached out to us and saved us from getting our entire liquidity pool drained. Wow. So he's going to be a pilot in the StarShip game. So, anybody who contributes has that opportunity. So I think that's a huge incentive, and a lot of people contribute solely for acknowledgement and feeling a part of something. So that's big.
Absolutely.
So what should we roll into next, Mel? Do you want to talk a little bit about the story, or what you've come up with?
Sorry, I was just taking a note. Well, I want to just get the podcast down. So as I think you said, you'll be available on Sundays.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. And then we could do We can start with like 2 hours and just try to get a batch going. And then oh yeah, we wanted to ask also about like editing. So if it would just be, I kind of envision it at this stage to be super low key. So like a fly on the wall, like listening to our brainstorming sessions, basically.
Yeah, we just want to put like a screenshot, maybe a piece of art on the front of the video. We name this something, and then we play it straight through, no editing. But so this video would just be played right through.
Mhm.
Yeah, the editing I was thinking would come in a little bit more, nothing too complex, but if we get to a point where, say, at the end of every podcast, we're reading from like the actual like prose paragraph version of the story, and then at the end of like say an arc, say it's like 6 weeks, and then there's like an hour of just like audio book basically, someone could just like tether those all together and put it in a separate video for someone that just wants to listen to the story.
Mhm.
Okay, I like that. So we separate it between us, reading the story and do we want to give away the whole story?
I don't know, but well, so what I've done, what I'm in the process of doing, I've got about 14 pages down. I'm just writing out the story like in just like paragraph form, just like from beginning to end, sort of. Because as it is, it's more of like a universe thing where it's just like a whole like plethora of paragraphs, but I'm trying to kind of make it so that it's a story that can just be read from beginning to end. And so I guess that's up to you guys. Like it could work, and it would be over a 6-week period because it would just be like 10 minutes per week of reading, so it would take a while to get through.
Mhm.
I love it. Let's talk about that more soon. But should we get into any story now? Can we give anything away?
Faye did nothing wrong.
So,
So-
okay. I also kind of, sorry, just another podcast question. Like about recording an intro and maybe like introducing. I don't know, I could just maybe think about this, like about scripting an intro, like just to give a little bit of a bio of what the podcast is and what they can expect in that episode. And then like we get into just the recording and then but maybe that comes later on. What do you guys think? Like if we're just keeping it super low key, do we wait to do the intro?
I think we could do it. It would be because we got the Starship little theme music already, so it would just be that for like 10 seconds, and then the Starship logo, zoom, and then starring Starship Mel and Spazzitron from CryptoPhoenix.org, and then we could just get into it. We could record that once. It'd be like 30 seconds, easy peasy.
Okay.
So
Cool.
speaking of theme music, shout out to Laurie in our community. He's made 2 songs so far that I've heard. That's awesome. Thank you.
That's fun. Oh, cool. Okay, I'm sorry for delaying. Okay, story. What are you wanting to talk about? Do you just want?
Okay. Okay. So we know that we have some creatures or some species that are created, and maybe we talk about some things that are already created, what they are, some ideas behind like the metal planet, the AI that's consumed a planet. We have an idea. Well, we talk about things that are set in stone, and then we talk about things that we need to address. Holes in the story that need to be addressed, and we come up with ideas for that. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely can talk some creatures, and actually, it sounds like we might kind of be getting into the brainstorming as well. So, Spazzitron, I know you had some updates that I'm excited to hear. So, would you like to kick us off?
Oh well, yeah. Like I said, for the first arc, again, I think this is the first time Matt's on the call. So the first arc, to keep it simple, it's essentially a damsel in distress story plus a redemption arc with a twist. And that like I said, I'm getting that written down just into a prose thing, 20-page document. So if somebody says, "Hey, I'm working on a game, how do I know the story?" I can just say, "Here you go, read up." It'll be condensed and compiled into just a plain old Word document. So that'll be helpful to onboard people as well.
Cool.
So you said it's a damsel in distress. So what's going on with that?
Well, sorry, getting over a illness here. So it follows the plight of Faye, who is not an affiliate of the StarShip Coalition. However, some people decide to go against the wishes of the coalition to rescue Faye, who got herself into a bit of trouble with an alien race.
Okay. So coalition people have to save Faye, and Faye is kind of like anti-establishment, doesn't want anything to do with the coalition, right?
Yes, but Faye is not to be taken for granted because she was sent up 5 years before anyone in the coalition to test the life support, and then she was abandoned by the coalition. So she's had a rough go, and she knows a little bit more about the universe than the coalition does.
I love it. And for those who don't know, Faye is kind of like our StarShip Superwoman. She has stickers inside of the game. She has characters inside of the game. I mean, she had the first character before anybody else. So that's awesome.
Excellent. I feel like there was also, like weren't we saying like I mean, you obviously kind of like touched on this, that she definitely has her reasons to distrust the coalition, and then that like one person was like, it wasn't actually like approved that they would go and rescue her. So I think it's like Matthew and Michael go kind of rogue and they go rescue her. She doesn't really trust what's going on, but she kind of slowly comes to.
So I just had this idea, sorry I interrupted, but like what if the coalition, like yes, they left her, but what if there's like a good excuse, like maybe there was a hack in the computer systems, and
maybe they thought she was dead.
Or maybe they thought she was dead. Maybe it wasn't like her being slighted. And then what that kind of does is opens up people's minds to different perspectives. And they're like, okay, well, maybe, I see it this way, but in reality, it's not like that. And, that would help give people more compassion to things, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're totally open to having it. The way it's written right now is that she was basically chosen because she was like a felon anyway. Sort of like how in real life they use prisoners for tasks that aren't great. So, but yeah, it could be written. It could be less malicious, like you said. Like they didn't just leave her to die. The way I saw it in my head was that like the coalition is sort of like based from like a big sort of space station, but the Lord Albright character kind of has his own moral compass and will take his own moral route, sometimes even against the coalition. The coalition's like the ultimate like lawful neutral is sort of how I see it. It's just
yeah.
Follow the rules.
Yeah. How I feel about rules. So
yeah.
Mel?
Hello. So I have some updates with the metallic planet that I'm excited about. I sent you guys both the sketch of the ring. So the ring itself is basically a creature. At first, you might just kind of think it's, like any other planetary ring, just of passive debris. But it's effectively alive and completely monitored. So it acts as a kind of an antenna for the planet to like kind of check out what's going on in space, to see like if any travelers are nearby or what's going on with other planets that they might want to conquer. But it's also a kind of acts as a protective mechanism and also as a defense. So it like what it will look like is it's kind of like it looks like a metal scraps junkyard. So if you're approaching and you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to pass through this because it's just a bunch of metal, then you might be in for quite a surprise because it's being watched. And if someone sees you or when someone sees you trying to pass through, they basically have the choice of like giving you an instant death or of letting you pass through. And if you do pass through, then you might not, you might think you're lucky, but actually that means you're really unlucky, because then you have to answer to the life forms of the planet, because they have decided that you might be worth something. They might want something more from you than an instant death. The other thing about the ring is it can, as with a lot of other life forms on the planet, it can transform. So it can transform into, say, like a big arm or claw and like grab starships that are nearby that have flown too close to the planet. Or it can like deploy, it can kind of form and deploy its own starships to go on the attack. So I'm just really excited about this concept. And then the kind of what's controlling it is it is more of a, so some of the creatures on this planet like have basically set tasks. They don't have kind of like a consciousness in the way that we kind of see that. It's more like, I'm here to serve the common goal of our planet. And so it's really being driven by like, so this planet has a conscious core, but it also has advanced life forms that are, I don't know if this is giving too much away, but basically one of them kind of represents the core. And she's basically kind of influenced it towards her interests. So she's kind of like basically making the decisions on, if there's a passer, like a kind of an intruder into this ring, that's kind of like the first line of defense for the planet, then she will kind of decide, kill them or let them pass. The other question I had was like, visually, I feel like a ring is much more understandable and like kind of impactful, but I was also kind of thinking of it like, could it be kind of a shell that encompasses the whole planet? So
it's like a satellite debris field or something.
Yeah. So I just kind of like was thinking about that. I feel like I said, like when representing it visually, especially like on a card or something, it might be better as a ring, but or you could do something else like a cross section or something of the planet to show that like there's the actual, like it could be kind of misleading. Like at first you think that's the planet, but really you're passing through effectively like a wall.
Yeah, well, we have pretty good artists, so don't worry about the visual aspect. I'm sure they can work it out.
Yes, that's true. What do you think, Spaz?
I really like that. I feel like there could be like a whole story or set of stories just based around what you said. I know I was like we were saying before, like the first couple arcs we kind of want to like keep it really like simple, but yeah, like that would be nuts. There's so much you could do with that. Like what would a space vessel even look like that was constructed by like a sentient planet like that? Yeah, we could do so much with that.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, we want to be able to release something sooner rather than later, but in the grand scheme of things, we do need a lot of information and story and art, especially if we move into the direction of an MMO, which is important for us. You know, I think that would be awesome. It's definitely an upgrade from a browser-based clicking game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to talk about something that I talked with about Melanie. And Spaz, you have a science background, so and keep in mind I don't. But obviously, you know, we have quantum entanglement, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's imagine for a second that, you know, the Big Bang theory is real. If it is, I don't know, but I'm not for or against it. I'm just saying, let's say it's real.
I'm a scientist. You know where I stand.
Yeah. So Big Bang theory is real, and everything started from a single point. Quantum entanglement is real, and let's say that maybe dark matter or kyanite gas or something, you know, connects everything in the universe, and somehow we find a way to manipulate that and cause like instant time travel, because everything's already connected. So if we can somehow connect into that or manipulate whatever that thing that came from the beginning, we could instantly communicate or teleport to any location in the universe. Is that, you know, something too crazy for right now, or what?
It's actually I mean that's possible in real life, but as far as the story goes, I think we would want to hold off on that for a little bit. But I could definitely see something like that. I also Mel and I were talking about an artifact, like a lost artifact, and that could be a cool plot device for like how to retrieve the lost art. I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the gears are going. That would be cool.
So let's think about this for a second, because, you know, speaking of appealing to different types of people, you know, if it's close to reality or close enough in reach to reality, and it actually connects a few things that, you know, are relatable to reality, that's what gets the imagination going. And they're like, oh, wow. So quantum entanglement's real. Everything came from one location. You know, maybe there is a way to bridge those two things together. And then when that imagination gets going, that's where people appreciate it. And there's different types of people. Some people appreciate that, you know, sparking that imagination, their creativity. Some people appreciate that story, the connection that they feel through Faye and the hardships that she's felt. So I just want to make sure that we're capturing, you know, all aspects with this is all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I totally get what you're saying. Like, yeah, to have things grounded. Yeah, like even if it's just like a little hint of like actual science. Yeah, that exactly.
Yep. So, anyways, that's it. What's next? We have 18 minutes left.
Can I do an interjection that's kind of unrelated?
I love it. Do it.
Okay, so you know the old analog televisions, and if you tune into a channel that's not a real channel, it is like a snowy channel.
Yeah.
That static is actually the echo of the Big Bang.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Is that real?
Yes, that is real, and it's kind of insane to think about.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome.
That's so,
That's like one of those fun facts that we should definitely, have, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a little snippet, like daughter's looking at the TV, the chemist walks by and says that little fun fact, and then the story just continues on,
Yeah, humanize.
Yeah.
Okay. So the quantum entanglement, like instant travel type of thing, really reminds me of port keys and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I really love. And also
So-
like they're I think, yeah, but I that's my contribution to that, is like I just really wanted to say that, and we can definitely use that. And I think there's also a lot of like room for conflicts arising from that, where, yeah, I was just thinking also about the instant communication, like if we have a Kyanite kind of like walkie-talkie effectively, and another person has the other one, and you use them to communicate with each other by changing its state, or maybe you speak into it and it can, the sound comes out the other side or something, like how, because we don't know where they are in the universe, like they could be anywhere, they could be in any situation. So I just have this image of like them hiding, them being in a dire situation, and it's like the cell phone ringing when you're hiding from the serial killer in the closet, you know what I mean? And so that I think is really fun, and we can do a lot with that. The other thing is like, yeah, I don't know why, but I was just thinking about like, what if, someone was trying to, cause some trouble, and they like heated up the one of the pairs to try to like burn the person holding the other one, and then the other thing is like with the travels, what if what if it gets moved, so then you go to an unexpected place. Yeah, so I think there's just like a lot of room for play.
Maybe we should talk about Kyanite and how you defined it, what people in our current world think of Kyanite and its properties, whether healing or communication. If we could go into that, and then that could give a little more backstory and kind of what you were talking about there with that.
Yeah, so Kyanite is a real mineral on Earth, and it's basically, like people like their crystals, and it's said to have healing properties based on the color, like which color it is. So for the story, we've just been kind of inspired by that to, how can we use Kyanite in the story? And with all the different planets, they're all going to be so different. So they're going to have different types of Kyanite associated with them. For the metallic planet, they are going to be, I think they kind of like revere Kyanite. So, but they also like have no regard for organic life forms. So they're going to kind of like, they're going to exploit Kyanite in such a way, or pervert it in such a way that it takes its properties to excess. So if they have a healing stone, then it might be that it's like over healing. So it's kind of like cancer, like it just doesn't stop. Or if it's a calming stone, it's calming to the point where you go into a coma. So, and then obviously there is going to be other uses, like, so Kyanite in real life expands when it's heated. So we have an idea where you have a shield made of Kyanite, and maybe someone attacks you, maybe you're on the magma planet and someone attacks you with fire, and it just, the shield like completely kind of engulfs you so that the flames don't, and you're completely protected. And then we have like the Kyanite, which is like the, for communication. So then that's kind of how we're overcoming, like, well, how are we going to all these planets and like understanding each other? Are we spending decades learning each other's languages and how to communicate? Well, no, we have Kyanite, which helps us to, it basically kind of is the Rosetta Stone of the universe. And that doesn't even touch on like the fuel and everything and how it's used for fuel. What was that, Matthew?
Yeah, I was just saying universal language.
Mm-hmm.
So I love all of that, and you guys have literally thought about everything. So, but my question is this, and I know we talked about this briefly, but how do we transition from Earth into this Starship universe? And my one of my imaginations was, something happened on Earth, which you came up with a wonderful problem that we were trying to escape. And then, there's theories that there's multiple universe bubbles, and, we escape this universe into Starship universe. Have we thought any more on the transition between life on Earth into Starship universe, or?
Yeah, we've been working on that. It was not just me and Mel. Commander also helped us kind of come up with this, and Saint as well. The idea that I had, that we kind of came up with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mel, was so like, as the situation on Earth develops and gets worse, a few things happen. They send out some people, Faye being one of them, to kind of like test, like, are we able to use these Kyanite ships to go out into space or to go out into the Starship universe? And then some people on Earth, such as Grandpa's character, are just like, screw it, I'm not waiting, and just builds his own starship and does it completely independently of the coalition. And then finally the coalition does the launch, and that's where Matt and Mike and Asley and Carrie are all. That's how, like, I want the story of Arc 1 to start 1 year after that. So there's and we can go back and like fill in the gaps later, but to really jump right into like a story, I thought it should start like 1 year after Starship officially deployed.
I love it.
I like that too. I feel like I've had ideas, like I really am kind of being a contrarian when it comes to like, so many stories about, humans have just like totally used all of Earth's resources. So they have to go somewhere else because they can't survive on Earth anymore because she's just used up. I have like an idea where it's like, it's one idea where it's like Earth, it's not like that. Like we don't defeat Earth or we don't use her up. She gets tired of us and she kicks us off.
Yeah, I like that one. Like imagine for a sec, Singularity, the movie, where the guy uploads himself into, wait, was it Singularity, Mel, where Johnny Depp uploads himself into the computer? He's some sentient creature. He just learns everything fast, starts trading on the market, makes 25 million overnight. He starts turning in all these hackers. But anyways, at some point, the AI becomes where it can interact with organic life, and it just spreads everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's controlled by him and he's good, governments do what they do, and they say, nobody can have this much power except for us. You need to shut it down or we're going to kill your friend or your family. And then he shuts it down. But going from that, let's say we do create AI, and then AI consumes all organic matter and things on the planet, and it just takes over the planet, and then it kicks us off, like you say. Is that possible, or is that kind of too out there too?
I mean, I feel like anything is possible. Definitely the metallic planet feels like that, with like sentience and kind of AI
Because
working together.
I feel like what it does is it sparks the imagination. Plus, it throws a loop into the normal thought process. Where
Right.
when we think of AI, we think of Terminator marching around.
Mm-hmm.
Where instead, AI figures out a way to interact with the organic material and consume it and control it and operate as like some type of hive mind
Mm-hmm.
for all living things and creatures. I think that would be kind of cool. but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we need to figure out the transition between Earth and Starship Universe. So
Mm-hmm.
I really like that route that Mel came up with, just because yeah, like the whole overdone, like, oh no, we've used up the resources, now we're going to get more resources, as opposed to because what you said reminded me of a George Carlin quote where he said something along the lines of, we're not going to destroy the planet will shake us off like a case of fleas. Yeah, I like that a lot.
I like it
yeah,
too, and I think it also kind of subverts our like humans like inclination to think we're the most important or like the most powerful. Like I think that there's just like a lot of room to play.
I like that. So we have 6 minutes left. Is there a couple of creatures that you'd like to, or species that you can discuss with us?
What do you think?
I saw there was 3 in the app that you guys are adding all your stories to. So I don't know if you want to throw out one creature and then we can add more later. But
I can
So
talk about the extra race I added. Is that
yeah,
cool?
yeah, I'd love that.
So the chemist belongs to a race that was practically genocided, like they've been kind of scattered. It was a race that was sort of the opposite of the Zarians. Like they didn't do anything with war. They didn't develop any technology for defense. They were only into like the arts and sciences, and which made them fall prey to the Zarians. And in that kerfuffle, what was lost was the Alexandron, which represents the library at Alexandria, which was like all their knowledge in one place, and it's just gone.
I love that so much. I think Natalie's gonna love that.
And what are the features and characteristics of them? I believe
Yeah, so we're as of right, and this is all subject to change, obviously, but I'm thinking like sort of like scaly, like reptilian, but like bipedal, so that they can look good on an NFT. Have you ever seen Dora? It's well, yeah. So I'm thinking like lizardy features, but kind of slim, not very buff. Again, they would have evolved that direction from being mainly intellectuals. So yeah, sort of the tragic academic, if you will.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's so fun. Well, I shared about the ring. That's a creature. I have a few other creatures in the metallic world that that I'm really enjoying, like liquid metal. So there are smaller liquid metal creatures. They're like they basically read your mind, and they can kind of glean like the creatures that you've interacted with in the past. So say you you've seen a butterfly and you like butterflies, they can basically transform into a butterfly, and that kind of is to calm you, to make their world feel a little more familiar. But it's not because they're super nice and looking out for you. They're actually just like trying to really relax your mind so they can extract as much information as possible. And they also act as like, that is the smaller ones. So like when visitors come to the planet, I foresee this being needed. They will, like the butterflies will be all around you and you're like, oh, this is cool. And this is crazy that there are butterflies. What the heck's going on here? But really, you're surrounded by the life forms of that planet. You're completely surrounded. There's, no possibility for escape. And the other thing is like, obviously they can transform into a swarm of bees as easily as they can a butterfly. So, and those things from those bees are like getting shot, like, by a bullet. So, those creatures are quite like interesting to me. And then there's also a larger liquid metal life form that is she's the one, like she's of that race, the one who's kind of representing the conscious core. And then among those are like the most advanced, and then among those there's a faction of who kind of like who do value organic life in their way. Like they don't want to necessarily kind of go her route, which is like basically just like total conquering, like disregard of organic life. They think it can be done in a different way. So yeah, those are some more creatures from the metallic planet.
So speaking of creatures, we are creating creatures for every planet type, not just to be implemented into our story, but any future products like the StarShip Story is the foundation for everything, game related, brand related. Yeah, I just need to note that as all for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm curious to see which creatures become like the fan favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, famously in Pokemon, Pikachu is not going to be initially thought of as the fan favorite. It was just sort of, the fans decide, I suppose. So I thought I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah, it's so true. That's cool too. Is like the community. I feel like the community reception of the story will also really guide and drive the story.
Yeah. The fire ant was really cool. I don't remember who did the concept
Oh my god,
art.
that was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I think Shooty. Let me just look really quickly.
Yeah. We have to come up with a better name than what I said. I was like boozing or something. I'm like, let's call it the Ignant. And
I love the Ignant.
No.
I just didn't capitalize it.
Oh yeah, I did the double capitalization. Oh
yeah,
God.
Shooty Pew Pew.
Yeah, so we need to have Shooty on here next time. So anyways, we are at an hour. Is there anything you want to say to wrap this up, Mel?
No, I'm just asking, is this going to be used as a podcast?
Yeah, this is going to be used in the podcast. We'll drop an image over it and then an intro, outro, and we'll make a sub channel on Deploy StarShip.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Oh God.
I also thought it wasn't. Because I don't know, I imagine like we would, because we were just kind of talking about introducing ourselves, but we haven't really introduced ourselves. What do you think? We can, I guess, do that later.
We could call it episode 00. That's what they do sometimes with the
first one. In the meantime, between now and the next episode, we get an intro, outro, and our introductions. So
cool.
Okay, cool. And then we'll just kind of take this part out where we're confused.
We can leave it in. It's humanizing.
Yeah, we want to leave it in. So anyways, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, well, I've been really loving doing the writing and creating the creatures. And so, yeah, it's been super fun, and I can't wait for everyone to see what we have come up with.
I love it, Mel. Well, I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon, and amazing work. Thank you.
All
Awesome.
right,
Talk to
thank
you later.
you.